Initial reforms by government bears fruit for benefit of rakyat. Phase 2 of Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah distribution begins Wednesday. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. Well, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim today said that the initial reforms implemented by the government not only have borne fruit in terms of increased investment, but also won international admiration for the determination shown by the government, public sector and civil servants in making it happen.
Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said among the reforms was the enactment of the Public Finance and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or FRA 2023, which makes the government more disciplined in fiscal matters and ensures better management of the country's economy.
Fiscal Responsibility Act itu bermakna Menteri Keuangan mengambil keputusan menyerahkan sebagaimana tugas dia supaya dipantau secara langsung oleh Parlimen. Dia tidak terlepas seperti biasa. Itu sepaksa saya lakukan kerana ini juga akan membantu menambah keyakinan kepada masyarakat pelabur dalam domestik dan juga luar negara.
He added that the country cannot be saved from high debt if financial management is not corrected, deficits are not reduced, and budget management is not conducted more prudently.
In another development, Datuk Seri Anwar said the current price of essential items such as chicken, eggs and cooking oil is still low and stable compared to when it was under the previous government. The Prime Minister said, however, there are still quarters who deny that the Madani government has done anything to ease the costs of living for the people.
Jangan lupa 2021, 2022 sebelum tukaran kerajaan, berapa harga ayam? Sampai RM13 1 kilogram. Sekarang jauh lebih rendah, 9 pada yang 10 RM9.50. Minyak masak 5 kilogram ketika itu mencecah RM45. Jadi kawan-kawan saya makan, dia bising, dia lupa, dia ingat kita pun lupa. Masa dia jaga harga minyak masak itu 5 kilogram 45 hingga RM50. Sekarang sekitar RM27. Sikit kurang, sikit lebih. Telur ayam, dia tahu heboh dulu sampai tidak ada telur. Sekarang alhamdulillah stabil.
He said this in his address at the monthly assembly with staff of the Prime Minister's Department, or JPM, in Putrajaya today. Also present were Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof and Chief Secretary to the Government Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali.
Well, payments for Phase 2 of the Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah, or STR, to 8.4 million recipients will begin on Wednesday, the 3rd of April. It will involve payments ranging from RM100 to RM650.
Fasa 1 kita dah bayar bulan Januari RM500. Dan insya-Allah pada fasa 2 kita akan salurkan pada 3 April. Ya. Jadi itu pun ditingkatkan daripada RM1.26 bilion kepada RM1.5 bilion.
Meanwhile, in a statement today, the Finance Ministry, or the MOF, said that existing and new recipients registered in the STR database will receive payment through their bank accounts or cash at Bank Similar Nasional or BSN branches in stages based on their eligible categories. According to the MOF, starting this year, the government has adopted a new approach to open registration for STR 2024 throughout the year to allow more people to benefit from government aid. Dato Sri Anwar, in the same statement, said that the economic reforms led by the Madani government were not only aimed at rectifying the nation's financial structure, but were also driven by a sincere intention to ensure that the country's wealth is shared more equitably with the people. The MOF also advised recipients to be wary of unverified links from irresponsible parties when looking for information on the SCR program.
Radio Television Malaysia, RTM, remains relevant and is at the forefront in delivering authentic and accurate information that the people trust. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadil also described RTM Click, the mobile streaming app, as having great potential in the ever-growing digital world.
Harapan saya ia akan dapat dimanfaatkan bukan hanya untuk menjana sedikit pendapatan yang dapat disalurkan semula kepada penghasilan kandungan yang lebih baik, tapi maklumat yang disampaikan akan dapat kita salur kepada kumpulan sasar sekali dengan kandungan yang sesuai manfaat ataupun sesuai dengan cita rasa komuniti tertentu.
In a short post on his Facebook page in conjunction with RTM's 78th anniversary today, Fahmi also wished happy birthday in a recorded message to the country's oldest broadcasting station. RTM was established on 1st April 1946, starting as a radio broadcast station. Television broadcasts were introduced on 28th December 1963. Well, currently, RTM operates 6 television stations as well as 34 radio broadcasts throughout the country.
Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, has reiterated combating corruption as one of the main focus throughout His Majesty's term as Yang di-Pertuan Agong. The King described corruption as the biggest threat to the country in a statement on His Majesty's official Facebook. Sultan Ibrahim raised the matter when granting an audience to Chief Commissioner to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, the MACC, at Istana Negara earlier today. Well, a 30-minute-long audience was held to obtain the latest developments from the enforcement agency. His Majesty said he had emphasized before that his honeymoon period is over and it is now time to go catch the bees, as he handed over a pack of honey to Tan Sri Azam in a symbolic gesture to mark the end of the honeymoon period. Sultan Ibrahim was installed as the 17th Yang di-Pertuan Agong on 31st January after the tenure of Pahang's Sultan Abdullah Ri'ayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah came to an end. Coming up next, government continues efforts to introduce green hydrogen tech in Malaysia. Well, the government will continue intensifying its efforts to introduce green hydrogen technology in Malaysia to achieve the 12 billion ringgit revenue target by 2030 through the hydrogen economy. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Chang Lee Kang said that the ministry is currently focusing on boosting demand, usage and generation of green hydrogen.
He explained that the country will be able to reap the benefits of green hydrogen exports as well as forge cooperations with private sectors to form a robust hydrogen economy environment. These efforts are also in line with global decarbonization goals by 2050.
Ada beberapa kekuatan kereta hidrogen ini. Yang pertama adalah memang masa pengisian pendek dari 3 hingga 5 minit saja untuk satu pengisian penuh. Itu pertama. Yang kedua, jarak dia lebih jauh. Range dia dari 700 hingga 1000 kilometer per pengisian setiap kali isi. Dan juga hydrogen fuel cell EV ni dia lebih ringan kalau berbanding dengan EV yang lain.
Chang said this during a media briefing following a demonstration of the mobile hydrogen refueling unit and hydrogen-powered vehicles in Putrajaya today.
Well, the oil and gas, or ONG, crude change operations resume in Labuan today after being suspended in 2020 due to a surge in COVID-19 cases and shifted to Kota Kinabalu. Well, temporary counters manned by 8 immigration personnel for the documentation clearance of ONG crews entering Sabah waters are now fully operational at the Asian Supply Base in Irian Berhad, or ASB headquarters at the Rancha Industrial Estate. Well, ASB Chairman Dato Dr. Suhaili Abdul Rahman said the resumption of oil drilling activity this month is expected to be robust, with a high influx of ONG crews from various parts of the country and abroad coming to Labuan for offshore jobs around Sabah waters. Dato Dr. Suhaili said the project to build a permanent 3-story crude change terminal costing approximately 25 million ringgit was finalized late last year. Well, he said the terminal to be built at the Asian Supply Base will accommodate local authorities from the Immigration Department, Royal Malaysian Customs Department and Health Department for the screening of travel documents of Malaysians and international seafarers. Well, slated for completion by the end of this year, the terminal is a significant investment in Labuan's infrastructure to support its crucial role in the ONG industry. Well, the World Bank has maintained its 2024 economic growth outlook for Malaysia at 4.3% in its April 2024 East Asia and Pacific Economic Update. Now, the prospect was maintained on expectation of a likely recovery in global growth and the easing of restrictive financial conditions.
East Asia and Pacific Chief Economist Aditya Matu said domestic demand will continue to anchor growth, and Malaysia is also set to benefit from the recovery in the export market. Private consumption is expected to grow by 5.2% from 2023's 4.7%, driven by supportive labour market conditions and continuous household income support measures.
There are household income support measures which have, I think, continued from the pandemic onwards. But also because Malaysia depends a lot on exports, the recovery of exports is going to benefit them, though they also are exposed to China. So the slowing growth in China is going to be a problem. But in general, this, what is referred to as the tech cycle, which boosts electronic and electrical exports, Malaysia is going to benefit from that.
Matu also noted that Malaysia has tremendous potential to improve its economy and should not be satisfied with the current growth rate. On the revenue front, the World Bank said the government has introduced several measures during the tabling of Budget 2024, and the fiscal impact from these measures is expected to be marginal.
Still to come in sports, Liverpool wins to go top of table as title rivals draw. In football, the English Premier League, Arsenal showed their title credentials by holding reigning champions Manchester City to a goalless draw at the Etihad Stadium, allowing Liverpool to take top spot on a pivotal day in the Premier League's 3-way title race.
A share of the spoils preserves City's unbeaten home run stretching back to November 2022 and puts an end to Arsenal's impressive 8-match winning streak in the Premier League. However, it is the Gunners who will be happier with a point after the clash, as they prevented Pep Guardiola's men from scoring at the Etihad for the first time in 2 years. City had 72% possession but struggled to make anything of it against a defense that has conceded the fewest number of goals in the Premier League this season. City. In another match, Liverpool emerge as the big winners of the day in the title race as they beat Brighton 2-1 to go top, 2 points ahead of Arsenal and 3 clear of City with 9 games to play. Liverpool were forced to work by Brighton as one of the contenders to succeed Klopp. Roberto De Zerbi caused the German plenty of problems once more. Jurgen Klopp's side were rocked by Danny Welbeck's blistering strike after just 85 seconds at Anfield. Luis Diaz restored order with an equaliser later in the first half before Mohamed Salah netted after the interval to seal a vital victory.
And now it's time for a special edition of our On the Table program for RTM Day. Over to you, Mohana.
Hello and good evening. In conjunction with RTM Day today, On the Table delves into the dynamic world of broadcasting and the role of Radio Television Malaysia, or RTM, as a national broadcaster. Now, we have the honour of speaking with the Director General of Broadcasting himself, Dato' Suhaimi Sulaiman. Dato', welcome to the program.
Great to be here, Mohana.
Thank you. Now, Dato', you hit the ground running as soon as you were appointed Director General. Can you tell me what made you accept this challenging position, and what was your first personal mission for RTM?
Well, I got a phone call from our minister, YB Fahmi Fadzil, and I said yes, because I actually love the industry. I've been in the industry for the last 30 years, and the rest is history. Basically, the first thing that we have to make sure the brand, the RTM brand, will be relevant, relatable, and must be lovable. So that's based on that three things. We started planning for the next 2 years, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how is, considering the media landscape that's changing, evolving, viewer preferences are also changing, how do we adapt to that? How does RTM adapt to that while maintaining its identity as a national broadcaster?
What's important is we must have data. Data is so important when we want to make decisions. So at RTM, as you know, we use data a lot. And we have to understand the migration of the audiences. Where are they watching us? Through what platform? So based on that, we actually now seeing the migration from television to digital. So that is why we are encouraging people to download our RTM Click app, whereby as of yesterday, we have 5.05 million people downloading our who downloaded our apps. So we have to rethink how we tell the stories. Now the attention span of people is getting shorter and shorter. So when the attention span is shorter, how do you write your scripts for news, for example? Yeah. You don't have half an hour, you don't have 1 hour to tell your stories. So you must make sure that things can be done faster. People will have to see the stories so that yes, what's next? You know? So they're impatient. So you have to address the needs of impatient audience. So people have changed a lot. Our audiences have changed a lot. So what we need to do is to understand the changes, to understand what they want, and give them what they want. I remember learning from my Marketing 101 class, you know, what is marketing? Marketing is fulfilling the needs and wants of your customers. So you apply that to broadcasting, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Now, you mentioned that people are moving to digital. So this includes social media as well.
Exactly.
Because we're in a polymedia environment. People are using multiple media platforms. What are your thoughts about using platforms like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube? How do we position RTM through these platforms, and what was your aspiration for social media?
Just to share with our viewers, during the SEA Games, the last SEA Games, we had 10.3 million people watching the finals of the Indonesia versus Thailand soccer match. 10.3 million on TikTok. On TikTok alone. On TikTok alone. And then you see 8 million people watching us on different platforms, and then some of them are watching us through RTM Click. So what's important here is you have to understand the demography. So TikTok is much younger, for example. You know, Facebook, I'm the Facebook generation. Right. A little bit older, you know, but you're still very youthful in your approach to life. Yeah?
Of course.
So you have to understand there is no, previously, the thinking was, okay, this is for television. Therefore, you just cut and just put it on the social media. It doesn't work that way. So you have to make sure that the script writers must know this is the way for you to write for television, this is the way for you to write for social media, and this is for OTT.
Doesn't that also mean that you need a bigger staff?
Not necessarily. Yes, for certain things you need more people, but now you have to multitask. That's a beautiful word. Yeah, we are all multitasking today. You know, and it makes your life a lot more interesting. You're more powerful in that sense. Yeah. So we have to understand. For example, if I were to write a story, let me use an example. Yeah, recently, our team did very well in making the people understand from a 6% SST to an 8%. So instead of giving it the normal, dry, economic reporting news,
Yeah.
they did it through animation. So they have cartoons explaining what's the increase in the percentage of SST, for example, and it worked for us. Yeah.
So it's very dry things, dry news that needs to be also
Yes.
brought down to the levels and how people understand, and bite-sized pieces.
Yes, most importantly, we must make sure that people understand what's going on. Yeah? In order to make sure that we play a good role in nation building, we must make sure that people understand what news is, make it simple for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Dato', I want to ask you about artificial intelligence. There's so much talk about how artificial intelligence is overhauling industries. How does it apply to the broadcasting industry, and what is RTM doing in terms of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, people always say that, when it comes to artificial intelligence, you will have a robot presenting the news. Yeah? Not that.
That's the most popular opinion.
Yes. They think that Mohana Priya will not have a chance to read news later on, maybe next year, because you have a robot doing it,
Right.
So they say that we'll save money. No, it's not just that. Number one, our archive system in RTM, it's managed by AI. Yeah. Moving forward, AI can actually help us to match, meaning if we have a certain program and we have the demography, so AI will help us to match. For example, we have these sponsors, maybe these sponsors would like to invest in this program. So it's all done by AI.
Okay.
So we are moving into AI in management, AI in marketing, AI in many, many other aspects, including public relations.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So it's all up to us on how we want to use AI, basically. So AI is not, don't worry, you still have your job.
Oh, thank you. No, Dato', RTM is the country's oldest national broadcaster, and it holds a very special place in people's hearts and minds. How do you balance that? How do you balance that heritage value with changing content, innovative content, making sure it's modern, updated?
Yes. At the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier, you have to be relevant. Yeah, people change, with time. You have to be relevant. You have to continue to be relatable. If you can't, if people can't relate to us, you're gone. Yeah, and then people must love you. We cannot be seen as very static, very stern, very, robotic-like, So you must make sure that we are approachable. So that is why over the last 1 year, what we have done is we've gone to the ground, we meet people, so that they know that this is a brand that's alive. Yeah. You have to be approachable. And if you go to X or Twitter, I would answer all those criticism.
Actually, that brings me to the next question, because I've noticed that from the time you've come in, you've kept yourself open. You've allowed for critiques, you've allowed for dialogue. You've even allowed people to come in and meet me in my office and give me your pitch.
Yes, it is about engaging your audience.
And why is that important?
It is very important. Only then you are relatable, only then you're relevant. Because when you engage your people who would criticize you on a daily basis, perhaps they don't know certain things. Yeah, so you have to tell them, this is what we are doing at the moment. I realize that from I fight a lot on the social media. So the people that I fought with, they are now our supporters, basically. So not that they hate us, perhaps before this, we have not been giving enough information.
Right.
We have not been engaging as many people as we would want. So by engaging, they know that we are approachable, we are still relatable, we are relevant. That's most important. And they love us. Yeah, and then sometimes they just pick a fight because they just,
want to be heard.
Want to be heard.
Yeah.
So then we explain, and then they come back, and now quite a number of them, they don't even change the channel. They stick to RTM. Which is a good thing.
Yes.
And when you look at our ratings, for example, Your News is one of the most successful news in RTM. It's not easy for any English programs to actually have very, very high viewership. And Your News is very, very high, which is very good. Yeah.
That's what made the difference. You did revamp content.
I think it is about how we tell the story.
Yeah.
It's also about how we tell the story. It's about scripting, and it's not just that. It's the way we present, and also also the look and feel. It has to be contemporary. It has to be modern, minimalist. I always tell the graphic artist, it has to be modern and minimalist. Your font must be modern. Your colors must be nice. Look at our backdrop. It's really nice. Yeah. So when people look at beautiful things, you know, when you go shopping at a supermarket, for example, would you buy something which is not nicely packaged or something that is nicely packaged? Of course, the ones that are nicely packaged.
Yeah. So the aesthetics matter.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Now, Dato', what is your vision for RTM over the next 5 years? How do you see RTM evolving or changing?
I think we are doing very well at the moment. Yeah, we are doing very well. Some of the programs, the viewership has increased by 1-fold, some 2-fold, some even 3 times the viewership compared to previously. Now, moving forward, we have to compete with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the most important thing. Previously, we look at our competitors, yeah? But at the same time, you have to understand that we are different. What is our differentiator? We are a government brand, government TV channel, TV, radio, and digital channel. And we have to help people understand nation-building issues. Yeah?
Okay.
But in doing that, we must make sure that it's fun. Stories must be fun. People must understand it's inform, educate, and entertain. So when you have that 3 elements, then, and when you do it right, you will be successful. So moving forward, it's about competing with ourselves and continue telling stories, inform, you educate, and you entertain.
Fantastic. Now, Dato', what is RTM's approach to promoting local culture? You mentioned nation building, but that's just one component, I think. So what about local culture and values through the programming, especially in the context of the current globalized media environment?
We must make sure that we still have our values close to our hearts. So this is where recently, during the town hall with people who would supply us with dramas and all that, so I mentioned that, okay, we must make sure that we have our values that we cherish in the dramas, in the telemovies. So,
are there any specific values we're looking at?
We're looking at respecting your elders, yeah, and while chasing your dreams, you know, do not, it has to be a win-win. Don't let people be left behind. You know, you carry people together with you. So those are the values that we have been sharing for generations, basically. Yeah.
Right. Now, when it comes to technology, I'm going back to AI here. You mentioned about the background and how things are being used, how AI is being incorporated. But the recent conferences and all that, I think the ABU conference and all that, we've seen some new tech come in. Where do you see that heading? In terms of RTM, are we allowed to adopt everything, or are there certain things that we can't do because we're a national broadcaster?
When it comes to technology, it's only a tool that you use. At the end of the day, it's the messaging, it's the stories, and how you are able to sell your message across, and people will accept your message. Yeah. So don't worry about technology. We don't have a choice. Sometimes we just have to adopt technologies, but those are only tools. At the end of the day, it's how we think, yeah, and what exactly do we want to do in nation building. So to me, that's important. So that's why we need people to continue. One thing that I really believe is lifelong learning. So that is why, in fact, you're attending courses next month, yeah? So we keep on sending people for courses to improve. So that's important, because when you have more knowledge, yeah, you'll be better. And basically, I'm 62 and I'm still learning lots of things. Yeah. So and that will make our life actually very interesting. And when we have more information, we'll be able to share it with our audiences. Yeah, so that's important.
Thank you, Dato' Suhaimi. And with those wise words, so we will call it a day.
Oh, we're done.
We're done,
oh my God.
Unfortunately. Thank you so much for your time and for your valuable insights today.
Thank you. Pleasure, Moana.
Thank you. Now, we've been talking to the Director General of Broadcasting, Dato' Suhaimi Sulaiman, on RTM's 78th anniversary. It's now back to you.
Well, thanks, Mohana. And that concludes this evening's Malaysia Tonight. Well, till the next time, I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And thanks for watching RTM. Teman Setia Anda.